I just put some random slides together, and then my friend Patrick sent them today. I hope you like my little film. It was kind of it made me feel a little nervous. My introduction made me feel real nervous. Everyone's been really, really terrific here. I live in Providence. That's my little greenhouse I made for my wife in the movie. She likes it. I dug the foundation myself. Kind of a hard job. I had to have both of my knees rebuilt. But so and which was good. I did. I had a great guy in Boston. I could report to anyone who's interested in that. It's very important to have someone who's done it before. Honestly. Anyway. Oh yes, thank you. Yes. I loved it. This was Endgame. I've done Endgame for Andre Gregory for like years and years and years now. I don't know, really years. He's one of the oldest people I work for. They gave me a little dinner before this speech, and I don't know how we got into it with my neighbor sitting next to me, or across the table, I guess it was. And they knew Andre, and I said, well, like a little bit ago, not long, I was at NBC. I have a lot of different offices at NBC now because I have all those shows, and I can have different offices I can hide out in to get away from people. And I was standing in the lobby waiting for an elevator, all computerized now, courtesy of Comcast. Okay, and my phone went off, and I got it, and it was Andre. I could know that voice anywhere, and we chatted a second, and the elevator came and went, and I explained to everyone around here when I had to come in the elevator here that one of the first corporate things at NBC you learn is never talk in the elevators because you never know who's there. Could be the secretary of the president. So you have to say nothing. So when you ride in elevators at 30 Rock, silence, which is just how it is, okay? So anyway, the phone went off. It was Andre, and he said, I have a question for you. You can answer three ways, one of three ways. Yes, no, or I have to think about it. That's what he said. I'm not making this up. Okay, and I said, okay, Andre, what do you want? And he said, I'd like you to design my coffin. It's true. Okay. But anyway, it's true. I can't make this stuff up. After years of Saturday Night Live, you can't, what it does is actually changes your whole thought of how things get done. Because, look, I take the Acela into New York on Wednesday. That's coming up soon. Okay? I actually have a little dinner. I tried to change the date of this, but I had to change the local ballet company. Had give me something the other night, which they did. I liked them. I don't do many ballets, but I did the Nutcracker, Chris Van Allsburg. A wonderful illustrator who used to live near me on the east side of Providence, but had a fight with the city over taxes on his Porsche, decided to go buy a house on the North Shore of Boston. Really a mistake. A beautiful house, of course. And the Nutcracker was pretty good. Unfortunately, we couldn't afford to do it in Providence. I'm just jumping around. You'll find I can't help myself. Who's the head of the school systems now? That woman, awful woman. Yeah. So we had to, we went to where she lives, and she's funded a ballet theater. Okay, and they said to me, with the set, they said, can you do it for $1 million? That's what they said. And we said, yes, we can do it, I think. And that's what we did. Chris is a brilliant guy, really hard to collaborate with. But really, the result was kind of worth it, and we employed every scene shop in Manhattan to get it done, because we painted it all. We didn't want to we all use this computer drops now and all that. That's why we have no more billboard painters, or at least not very many. That's too bad, Anyway, okay, what else? Oh, yes, Wednesday's coming up very soon. That's what kills me. Tomorrow in Providence, one of the reasons I live there, I think I'm there for the duration. That's all I know. I've worked for Trinity Rep, which was called Trinity Square when I started there, and I've been there over 50 years. I think that must be a record, or that I'm something wrong with me. I don't know what it is. We're doing ragtime there at the moment, really wonderful. I done it on Broadway very expensively, which was nice, But we've done it and had a huge cast and a big orchestra and all that. Every number ending with a huge, And we do it with 12 people, and it's really nice. I think it's much better than the Broadway version. And I think come on, what kind of musical has a first act that ends where a lead character says, I think she's got a gun, and then the police move in and beat her to death with clubs, which probably are very much like what they use today, except it's kind of shocking to think that the material maybe changed, but I think the clubs are the same. Great way to end an act. Enough of this. Oh, Eugene, my kind of thing, when I get to build it. This is what I really like. This is one of my little seating arrangements, I was younger then, but I like it. It had little doors around. This was Alice in Wonderland. It turned out when, on Saturday night, we did a biography that I did a television show. And the producer of that came around and said, why did he hire you? And I said, well, you go ask him. Don't ask me. I don't know. I don't know what it is. So this was one of the things. You had to kind of crawl on your hands and knees, into it, which was nice, And it had one or two big lights. And when you went down the rabbit hole, there was a lot of things. There was a lot of fun things in this production I still like. It took an umbrella. I almost needed one today since it was raining here. And they cut holes in it, put it in front of the light, and spin it. Great lighting effect. Cheap, really wonderful. Okay, that. Oh, yes, well, yes. Oh, now sentimental time. No, we've hung a black person by his feet. I don't think they would let us do that now. And we have a piece of meat on the cutting board. This was early Adrian Hall, Providence, Rhode Island time, And this was about Thomas Jefferson. It was a really interesting piece. We did a lot different versions of it. I think we took it to Boston. I think that's what that is. And me. Oh, yes, The Visit, Providence, the way things have changed. I guess I've been working so long. I was walking from College Hill down to the theater downtown in Providence, and we were in rehearsal for The Visit, which is, I'd seen it in East Germany years ago. And I was walking by the deserted train station, which, because Providence, they don't have to build really ugly things there. And, it's too bad the way it is. I always say, scenery, if you do bad scenery, you always just toss it out. You do bad architecture, you have to live with it. And that's not good. So I'm walking by the train station, and I thought, boy, we should be doing it at the train station because it's about a visit, a person coming home. So I get to the rehearsal hall, and of course I've designed the set, and the shop is already building the set and everything. And I say to Adrian, I think we've made a mistake. I think we should be doing the show in the train station, because it'll be much nicer there. And the environment is really fabulous. And there was you kind of see it to the right, there was a little information booth, and on that we put a little model train that went around, It's kind of nice, And of course, they let us do it. It took a lot of convincing, because there was all kinds of legal things, something about, whatever, But if if you're stubborn enough, you get whatever you want. Anyway, just one of my endless shows. This is nice. Slave ship was nice. I went in. It always seems to come up to that. This was done by. It was done by the same company that did Candide originally out in Brooklyn. And they had just rebuilt their theater, and they put beautiful seats like you're sitting in there. And Slave Ship is supposed to, I thought, I can't do that. The seats have to go. The seats went, got rid of the seats. And we built this like a little platform in the center. And because Slave Ships, below deck was only about this high, they crowd people in. It wasn't a pleasant thing. Anyway, this is quite, Gil Moses directed this, nice director. And it was this actually how I met Peter Brook, because Peter Brook was doing a show and wanting to bring it to Brooklyn. And he wanted someone to come over. He was rehearsing in the National Furniture Factory in Paris. And, it's... and that's where the high ceiling, they hung the tapestry so the kings could come and pick one, It was like, and it was quite successful, this little show. Peter Brook saw it and said, what about that kid who did Slave Ship? That was me, the kid. So it was kind of fun, went to Paris, it was fun. We did the Tai Chi in the morning, things like that, because it's Peter, and he drove a little Mini, a real one. I was really jealous, and eventually, a few years ago, I bought a Mini. I did a project across the ocean, and I said to the producer, I want to live on a houseboat, and I want to drive a Mini, or I won't do the project. So I got the project. I didn't end up on the houseboat, too damp and too crowded. But the Mini I bought it next to the criminal trial there, Hague. And I like this kind of show. Getting harder to do it. This was in Brooklyn. Candide was produced by some people that I went to Yale with. One of the reasons, some student. I answered earlier, it's, you meet them at Yale, and then they go out and they found their own theater, and then they think they need a designer, and they say, what about that Eugene? Maybe he'll do it. So, and Harold Prince directed it. He was on their board of directors. And the Leonard Bernstein musical, it had failed on Broadway, and deemed not good, although it has the best overture on the planet. Okay. Anyway, so we did this. It was with Harold, Anyway, that's my union stamp there. That makes me very uneasy. I had a fight at NBC when, they were really, when I started working there, they were very into all that kind of union nonsense, stamps and things. They wouldn't build things. They would, once we sent them drawings to their shop, and because it wasn't stamped properly, they wouldn't build it. And we just said, okay, we go on air on Saturday, guys, you're going to end up building it, so why are you fighting, So I used to get angry, so I just took my union stamp and tossed it out the window. And unfortunately, I was on the 17th floor, okay, and then it's gone. Sometimes I wish I had it. I'm kind of sentimental. It's bigger than the ones they give out now. It's such a funny business I'm in. I can't believe it. I have the best time. I don't know, Thank God I could get my knees done. Because when I stay at the Yale Club, and then I have to walk down to NBC. And I finally said, it was so bad, I got to fix it, I don't care what. So they did. Can't wait. Oh, this is just one of my ground plans of it. What else? Anything else? Maybe that's it. I don't know. Could be. Oh, they gave me a list. No, there's more. Thank you. But you're going to have to ask me a few questions, so I'm going to, but not yet, not quite yet. You know, this is not something I usually do. I'm kind of excited. I think I'll, you know, it's like, I always do. Harold Prince always said to me that his were the only draftings that he could actually understand. And I think that's often true. I can, sometimes when you just show a director a ground plan, they don't have a clue, you know, but they're the director, so they act like they can. But I like this. This is an isometric, you know. They used, when I was in junior high school, it's funny how things are. I don't know. I was in junior high school. We actually had a drafting class. And I learned to draft in junior high school. I mean, this was Wisconsin. I don't know. I don't think they do that now. And I don't know, maybe they do. Anyway, it's kind of a pictorial drawing, so you can kind of understand what it is. I mean, what the actual thing looks like. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the heavy set. The Sweeney Todd. But really a very simple show. I mean, seemingly big and costly, but really very simple. I mean, it was one big environment, one huge environment, and one platform. And that was basically everything, you know. I did have a little trouble when it was, I can only remember two things of this show. I kind of liked it. You know, it had this foundry roof, and I decided that for reasons only I would know, I wanted to paint it myself because I didn't like the way the scenics were dealing with it. So, you know, they tried to get angry at me, and they sent people out to yell at me. But I still painted it. And then it had the little chair. You know, you have to, because the idea was he kills a person and goes down and shoot. Very difficult thing to get anyone to make it. A guy named Spider actually ended up solving the problem. He was a carpenter in the scene shop. And, you know, Spider, that was his nickname. He did it. Sweeney Todd. Oh. Yes. Enough of that kind of scene. I think I put it more for the drafting, and I liked all this. The New Yorker came by and shot that photograph of it, which was nice of them. It was a big set. This is, yeah, goodbye. More of the same show. But I like little funny drawings. You know, I draw kind of. Everybody draws now on computers. I hate to say, we even have suffered that on Saturday night. I don't. No one in them, you know. But there's something. They don't have much heart. They're probably more accurate, maybe, or at least they appear to be. You know, who knows? Little house. How much fun is this? Oh, I like this drawing. Although the lawyer said about this play, he said, I didn't like the play. All I did was count the rocks. And it's like a hillside of big rocks. I like that, but he you know. I also do things I'm kind of sentimental in all kinds of ways. I always use the same block on the corner of the drawing. A guy named Paul Troutbetter at Carnegie Tech, Carnegie Tech was taught design there, and that was his block. He always did it that way, and I started doing it at Carnegie Tech, and then I just continued doing it because I always do it, you know. And this is, you know, funny little drawings. Oh, this is Wicked, of course. Early model of Wicked. I got a full standing ovation that preceded you with the students, because someone asked me about, I can't remember the exact, I can tell you the answer, I can't tell you the question. And I said, and I think the question I forgot. The answer, I said, if you make the right deal and you have a hit, you make $1 million. And they like that. I think they all want to make a lot of money here. They probably, maybe it's really, anyway, enough of that. I only had that, Patrick sent these this morning. I do little funny drawings. When I do musicals particularly, when you have to do multiple sets and different things, I do a little cartoon that shows you how things transition, because transitions is everything in what I do. They had hired someone else to do, the first designer. I'm sometimes, I feel I'm here to bury out the Barry Diller project. The great thing about Barry Diller, not to digress, but that, he has 2 dogs, and I have dogs. I've always had labs. And my older black lab had to be put down, and it's always terribly traumatic. You got to put up with it, because that's what dogs are dogs. You got to, we live longer than them, so that's it. But so he had the best care, went to Tufts, anything that could be done. Barry, of course, being Barry, he has 2 dogs, had them cloned. And Barbara Streisand also had a dog cloned. I have $175 per dog, if you have any spare change. But that's Barry. I like Barry because he's a billionaire, and maybe a little bit will come my way. Not a lot. I could help him, And in that drawing of the island, it's very high off the water for some reason, because who knows why. And when they were suing, everybody was suing everyone before the governor got involved, and then said, you can't pass this up. People just don't come and give you hundreds of millions of dollars and then say no. And their reason for saying no is that we're blocking the view of New Jersey. I mean, are you kidding? No. Doesn't happen. So we're going to bail him out. The one corner, I put some things. I don't know if they're going to do it. We're going to deal with what he wanted, the train and the treehouse, but then we'll do other things. It's so high up in the Times when they were arguing the case about whether this could be done. They said it can't be done because it's so high that when you dive off it to get killed, it'll now take away from the other bridge that that is now the famous bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge. Okay, it will now be number 2, and this will be because you die when you. Anyway. This is from Wicked. It's the first designer was from Montreal. She's very nice. I know her. She's a nice designer. And she does, unlike me, beautiful illustrations. Breaks your heart how beautiful they are. Sometimes you don't understand what she's doing, chairs floating in space and things. But she's not good on transition. The director would say to her, how do I get from there to there? And they would say, I have it all worked out. She does a lot of work for the Cirque, where that doesn't matter, I must point out. And then, of course, that didn't work out. That's how, it's always good to be the second person, because the other person has gotten all the bad news. So Wicked was fun to do. I had a lot of fun with Wicked. They just called out of the blue, but because now they had the Universal produced it, the first project of theirs, and they had never done it. They certainly didn't understand anything about the finances either. It was interesting. Anyway, they call. I'm in my garage, you know, and carriage house, and we think, well, this is great. And I say, send a script or send them music. Can you send something? Because everyone's been called. I mean, they've called every designer in the world, you know. And you know, it's we get some music from them on a tape from a workshop they did in California, and it sounds like. I said this to the students, it sounds like cats screaming, you know, and just crazy, you know, and they're very bad. So, but this is good, my kind of projects. It's like, love this. Someone else has gotten fired already. And so they aren't going to fire the second one because that might look bad for the producers, you know. You can't fire the second one. Oh, this thing. Okay, but it's great. It was great. I'm a kind of frustrated director. Could never be a director. I like directors. I particularly like actors. So we had a chance. We did anyway. We just built a big model, half-inch scale. Gets pretty big. Dragged it down to New York. The director of record, a nice, very talented man, and actor, great actor, wonderful. And he was doing a play over at the Public Theater, which was not far from, and we were doing a little musical that Oscar Eustace directed over at the Minetta Lane, a little theater I'm fond of. You know, I did my first show on Minetta Lane in a nightclub called Fat Black Pussycat, and it's on the walls of the alleyway. Anyway. He saw it, they liked it. We dragged the model uptown. Everyone, they kept me waiting, and they gave me the job, which was really nice of them. And then we had to try to work with the director after we had done it all, you know. What's this? Oh, Saturday Night Live, a bird's eye view of early Saturday Night Live. Hasn't changed much. We had a paint call last week. Saturday Night Live. Yeah, that's it. I discovered, probably not worth mentioning, you know, when I walked in there initially, it was just one big empty space. And then I added those little seats, you know, and they're on scaffolding. They're so incredibly illegal, you know. Yeah, and you know, they really are very bad. It's not. They're more than bad, let me tell you. But they can't touch it. They would have to. They can't. It's either take it the way I designed it, or rip it down and not be able to put it up again. So maybe that will happen. Comcast, maybe they'll spend the money. I don't know. I'm kind of sentimental about it. Yes, a picture in Providence showing scaffolding. Yes, because we had no money back then. We built a lot of scenery out of scaffolding in Providence, you know. Okay, what else? Oh, weekend update. Yeah, we do a lot of that now. This was Chevy Chase was the guy. He played it. He was always caught on the telephone hanging up to his girlfriend. Kind of like that. It's nice. It's really kind of simple. I think, yeah, that kind of the honeymooners of sets. Oh yeah, I get myself into trouble. My boss is on the board of the Natural History Museum, and so he always is volunteering me. I can't really say no since he gives me land for a house. You know, how can you say no? So they were doing an exhibit on spiders. So I wanted to put what I really wanted. Well, we put a red inflatable spider. I wanted to hang it over the street. And I had they wouldn't let me do that. But it was fun anyway, and we had spiders. I called 3M to have special Post-its made. If we had special Post-its made with spiders, they could just go everywhere. You know, everywhere. The thing about them, I really like them. They always, ask that I go to their gala every year, which I like. You know, under the whale. And it's black tie. It's very nice, you know. I have this new design for them because I never give up, the spider. So, and of course they gave Mr. Michaels, because what can you give the guy who has everything? You find a spider that's not been named in Australia and name it after the producer. Here it is, it's in there, you know? I love it. I love these people. It's a wonderful museum. It's too expensive to go to. Oh yes, this was the silly first model after of the thing on the island. We decided they wouldn't give us much because of the non-disclosure thing. We were working off very bad drawings. So we did this. We went to the model shop and we got little trees and it has this amphitheater. Even in this model, it's better than what the architect did with his fancy book and everything. So anyway, see, and I show a showboat actually pulled up to the dock. Unfortunately, at the moment, that can't happen. That means it could never happen, but not the way it is at the moment. We hope to convince Barry, because at least we know who to convince. Another one of those. I like these little messy models. Just like I said in the little film, I don't like things too neat. Yeah. And this is in 1/4-inch scale. A little lighthouse. Thought that would be nice. You climb into the lighthouse, have a little bench, look out at New Jersey. Oh, it's true. You can't make this up. Okay. Anything else? More of this? Maybe this is the end. Is that the end? Yes.